This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. So this case right here, when I heard about it a long time ago.
Okay.
Like, I feel like when it first happened, like I heard about it and I heard like a couple of podcasters talking about it. And this case right here, we was watching the movie. What was it?
The 6 schizophrenic brothers or something like that?
Yes. And when I heard it, I'm like, oh my God. You know, like, I'm not saying this person had it or might have it, but I think mental health was probably involved in this case. That's why I have my beautiful shirt on. Mental Health Matters.
HBO is not a sponsor, but they could be if they wanted. But
right.
Basically, it's a documentary of 6 schizophrenic brothers. Out of 12 kids, 6 have them.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should check it out. It's very interesting.
We've been watched the documentary, and I have to say, like, I really don't like documentaries. I'm more like an ID, like true crime, like Evil Live Here, like
Fear thy neighbor.
Fear their neighbor. Yes, fear their neighbor. And when, I think, was it me or you? I think I saw it on TikTok, and I'm like, hey, I want to watch this documentary. And you were like, you want to watch a documentary? I'm like, yeah, I think it's kind of fun, kind of cool.
I love documentaries, but
I don't.
it would always be a fight to have you watch it.
But you didn't fight me this time. I think I was fighting you because you were like, I'm tired. I'm like, no, we got like 2 more episodes left.
No, it was, hey, I'm ready to watch it. And you're like, no, I'm not ready yet.
And then I finally got ready. And then you was like going to sleep when I was ready to watch it.
Can't help it. I wake up early.
You do. You wake up at the same time as me. Bryce Laspisa was an only child, born on April the 30th, 1994, to Karen and Michael Laspisa in Springfield, Illinois. Like me, you know. The only child. Only child matters.
You have nobody to compete with.
It's amazing. Like, you don't have to show your birthday cake. Like, I don't got to like fight for, blow out my own candles with nobody.
Okay,
Presents for me.
Thanks for rubbing it.
Oh, sorry. He was an artist. He showed talent at a very young age. He was very well-mannered and charming also. That's how us only childs are. You know, we're very charming. Which made it easy for him to make friends.
Thanks. Keep rubbing it in.
Oh, sorry. In 2012, Bryce graduated from Nat Valley Central High School outside of Chicago. His parent was newly retired. They decided to move to California, settling in Orange County.
Okay.
Soon after arriving, Bryce moved north to Roseville, just 90 miles past Sacramento. He was about to begin his freshman year in school. And guess what college he went to?
I'm not familiar with the colleges.
Oh, well.
I wasn't the only kid. My parents couldn't afford college, so I never even looked into it.
Okay. He went to Sierra College.
Oh, wow.
That's why I was like, guess what college he went to? Because my name is Sierra. His first year went very smoothly. He got good grades. He formed a close friendship with his roommate, Sean Dixon, and began dating a fellow student called Kim. During the summer break, he told his parents about his girlfriend, his friends, and he was very eager to go back to school. All seemed well and his future was super bright. When Bryce returned back to Sierra 2 weeks before class started, he seemed very fresh and eager. Karen described a phone call that they had after he returned to school as a normal conversation, basically. He attended classes and reunited with his friends. Soon, however, Bryce, his life seemed to slowly unravel. Sean and Kim noticed a subtle change in his attitude and his behavior. He was becoming more and more withdrawn. He was depressed and agitated. Kim recalled that Bryce admitted that he was taking ADHD medicine, but he didn't have ADHD.
What did he use it for?
So I know in college and also like private advanced school that some kids would take it to stay up, to study. So like it keeps you up. Sean Dixon reported that Bryce began drinking hard liquor every day, as much as 2/5 in a single weekend. Kim claimed that his roommate has been taking ADHD medicine. Bryce confessed to Kim that he takes the medicine to stay up and play video games, although she was very alarmed how dismissive he was about taking the drug. He didn't see a problem with taking. He like, hey, just keep me up all night, which is not a good thing, guys. Do not take drugs that you are not prescribed.
Correct.
Something seems to have gone terribly wrong with him, but no one was quite sure what had happened.
That's probably the medication.
And then he was doing alcohol with it too. Like alcohol and drugs like that.
Yeah.
It's not a good mix at all. Do not take drugs and alcohol. I mean, if you want to go out and take a couple shots and stuff like that, that's okay.
If you're over the age
of 21. And also if we just went out with a couple of friends and she was like, hey, like 2 drinks, everybody limit should have like 2 drinks only. And then you're done.
Yeah, I think she said 2 drinks and you can still pass the
sobriety test.
I
was like, ma'am.
How do you know this?
Right. But guys, she doesn't drink and drive, so we don't either. According to Sean and Kim, Bryce was using the ADHD medicine very frequently, and it was very alarming to them how much he was taking. The first 2 weeks of the fall semester, on August the 27th, he broke up with Kim by a text message saying she's better off without him.
Oh, like that seems like it's depression, right?
Yeah. He also sent Sean an unusual heartfelt text message reading, I love you, bro. Seriously, you're the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul.
Okay.
You saw that?
Yeah. Break up with your girlfriend and then you're loving your best friend?
That same day, he gave Sean his Xbox and gave away a pair of diamond earrings that his mother gave to him.
Wait, this is giving me like suicide vibes.
Mm-hmm. On August the 28th, Sean, which is his friend, called Karen, which is Bryce's mom, to tell her that he was worried about her son. Later that night, Bryce called his mom, was like, hey, I'm at Kim's house and she would not give me my keys back. Kim took his keys away because she believed that he was in no shape of driving.
Right.
So Karen talked to Bryce and she thought like, oh, he seemed all right. He doesn't seem like nothing really wrong with him. So she said, Kim, just give him his keys back.
Right.
Which I feel like she shouldn't did to me personally. Because she wasn't there. For Kim to take the keys away, she saw something like, hey, like this man should not be driving at all. I mean, what do you think?
They probably saw something that the mom didn't. And I feel like it's really easy for him to put a facade for his mom.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 2 people telling you, hey, I'm concerned, I think you should be concerned as well. Now, the thing is, did they actually tell the mom exactly what happened, why they were concerned?
Well, Kim just said that she was concerned that he shouldn't be driving right now.
Yeah, I think you have to give people a little bit more information.
Well, we really don't know. Like, that's all both said it happened in the conversation. It could have been a lot more. So she could be like, hey, he shouldn't be driving. Because Kim and Sean, they're seeing like he's doing drugs, he's drinking, he's doing all this stuff.
But did they tell the mom? That's the thing. Like, I want to know why.
Mm-hmm.
If you just tell me, oh, they just shouldn't just because that's my opinion and you don't have anything to back it up with, I'll be like, okay, well, I'm questioning you now.
Well, I wonder, like, when Sean did call the mom, what did they conversation was about? Because he said, hey, I'm worried about your son right now. I wonder what did he tell her? Like, hey.
Exactly.
So that's a message out. Karen offered to fly north to check on him, but he told her not to come until he'd spoken to her the next day. I have a lot to talk to you about. And he said he left Kim's apartment at 11:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? One thing I have noticed about a lot of our cases, that if one of my friends tell me, or somebody I know and love say, hey, I need something to talk to you about, I'll talk to you about it later. No, we're talking about it right now. We're talking about it right now because it's like you think about like the last couple of cases we saw, the person say, hey, I need to talk to you about something, and I'll talk to you about it later, and then they go missing or they get killed. No, we're talking about it right now. Like that's what we're gonna start doing now.
I don't mean to call you out, but you have like ADHD. So if they tell you something else that grabs your attention, you forget.
I do not have ADHD, guys. I have not been diagnosed yet. But I'll make a statement. If your friend call and say, hey, girl, or hey, guy, I have something important to talk to you about. Let me call you back later. But like, no, talk to me right now because it probably life or death. Because I'm noticing that because he told his mom.
It could be too late.
And then another case we saw, she said it to her sister, and what happened? She passed away. Yeah. So it's like, no, friends, don't call me that. Right now, I'll drop everything. At 1 a.m. on August the 29th, Bryce called his mother once more, although she assumed that he was calling from his apartment. Phone records later show that he called from a location about an hour drive south of Rockland. So he was in opposite directions. Mm-hmm. He didn't go home. He drove a different direction. He supposed to went home. Then at 11 a.m., she and her husband were notified that Bryce had used his insurance roadside assistance service. A man named Kristen, the owner of Tire and Gas in the town of Button Willow, reported that he delivered 3 gallons of gas to their son after he ran out of gas around 9 a.m. Kristen offered to return to the spot where he last seen Bryson. So think about this time for a second. I want everybody to think of this time. Bryce's mom tried to call back her son, but he didn't answer. So she like, hey, Kristen, can you get in contact with him? Is he still there? So that was at 11 a.m. where they got the notification. There, he discovered that Bryson, he was still there. He hadn't moved in hours. Kristen approached to tell him that his parents was worried and to call them and let them know that he was okay and also the location he was at. Bryce agreed to make the 3-hour drive home, and Christian watched as he drove off around 3 p.m.
Why was he just sitting there?
He was just sitting there. Think about it. He called, Christian delivered the gas at 9 a.m. The moment the daddy got the notification at 11 a.m.
Wow.
So he was there for a long.
And then he went back? Christian went back?
He went back like, hey, like, let me see if he's still there. You know, like, I feel like in Christian's mind, like, this boy can't be still here. He can't be still here. But he was still there.
And then when he talked to him, he finally drove off?
He finally drove off. So he like, his parents like, hey, come home. Just come home. Which would be like a 3-hour drive. Hours passed. And still, there was no Bryson. And they haven't heard from him. So they filed a missing report for him in Orange County Sheriff Department. By tracking his cell phone, 2 officers was able to locate him just a few miles from where Kristen had last seen him. Mm-hmm. So he was like, he just drove a few miles and just stopped.
I think just to get rid of Kristen.
Basically like, okay. The officers report that he seemed lucid and friendly and showed no sign of intoxication, nor were he on drugs or alcohol found in his vehicle. But I mean, can you really know if he was on drugs? Like if you just like pop a pill right quick?
Well, it depends what.
Yeah. The police told Bryce that his parents was very worried about him and to call them. But Bryce was like kind of hesitant to call his parents. So the police officer called for them. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, bro, talk to your parents.
They just really had to push this boy, huh?
Karen told him to come home and call Christian to check on him. So they called Christian again. Christian.
He's in charge of gas and tires. He's not an old babysitter.
Shoot, Bryce seemed like he kind of like he needs someone to watch over him because this man didn't go nowhere. He was still in the same location where Christian left him at. He just drove like a couple miles.
Look, I would stop bothering Kristen and I would just drive to the location because something's going on with him.
So at this point, Karen and Micah was relieved when Kristen called to confirm that their son had gotten back on I-5 and headed south. At 2 a.m., August the 30th, Bryce called his mother one more time to tell her he was too tired to drive anymore and he would pull off on the side of the road to sleep. Wait,
so this started at 9 a.m.?
So, okay, he left Kim's house at 11:30 p.m. He called his mom at 1 a.m. He was on the road to their house at that time. Mm-hmm. Christian gave him gas at 9 a.m. The mother found out at 11 that he received gas. So this like really a whole day. Then at 2 a.m., that's when he called his mom like, hey, I'm tired.
goodness.
So this is like basically you think it was a 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because if he started his trip at 11:30 p.m.
And it's 2 a.m.
and he's still not at
It's
a 3-hour drive to his parents' house.
more than 24 hours. Okay, so they call Kristen again.
No. He was gone past Kristen by now. At 2 a.m. on August the 30th, Bryce called his mother one more time to tell her he was too tired to drive anymore and he would pull off the side of the road, which she agreed to the decision, and she would see him in the morning. But when the doorbell rang 6 hours later, it wasn't their son.
It was the police.
But it was a California Highway Patrol officer. Bryce's car has been found abandoned near Cassick Lake. The rear window had been shattered and his phone and laptop and wallet were found inside. But there was no trace of Bryce. Surveillance footage showed at 2:15 a.m. he turned on an Essex road rather than pulling off for a roadside nap. Divers went into the lake and they could not find no trace of him. Police dogs tracked his scent across a bridge to a nearby truck stop where the trail went cold. On September the 4th, 2013, charred remains found near the lake, but they did not belong to Bryce. 4 years later, a skull was found near the highway, but it was not Bryce.
Oh.
Similar reports over the years have also left investigators empty-handed. Without a body, detectives, they couldn't close the case.
Right.
But they also couldn't figure out what really happened to Bryce that day. Many theories throughout the year has been made. Some saying he committed suicide. Some saying he started a whole new life.
Okay.
Bryce was a 19-year-old boy. He had reddish hair and he had this big tattoo on his arm. So if anybody know anything that might have happened to him, please call the police department. And that was the case of Bryce Laspisa. And let's get into some theories. I personally feel like, okay, I have a couple theories. I feel like it was a mental health issue that he probably was going through. Because when we watched the documentary, they said around that age that Bryce was at, that's when the signs started to show. Because how did he come from a happy, charming young man to somebody that was doing drugs, that somebody was doing a lot of alcohol, and I feel like could have been suicide, but I also feel like, did he take the medicine, the ADHD medicine, and that's why he was like so wired up that morning that he was like not really driving? Because each person saw him, they like he was just like staring, like he wasn't asleep or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So he was wide awake. So I feel like, because I do have a lot of people in my family that has mental health, and we did have a cousin that like basically just like went off, and he went when he finally came back, and they're like, yes, he do have, I think it was bipolar. He was not for sure. Haven't talked to him in years.
He was diagnosed as bipolar.
Yeah, he was diagnosed as bipolar. So I know a lot of people that have like a psychotic break, that they do just like disappear. Like they just really disappear off the face of the earth. And they usually be like homeless, on drugs, and doing alcohol because they don't have the proper help that they need.
Right.
But you also can play devil advocate because he was giving his stuff away.
What stuff?
Like he gave away his diamond earrings that his mom gave him. He gave away his Xbox to his friends. He told his friends that he loved him. He also broke up with his girlfriend, said, hey, you need to find somebody better than me. So you also could say that, hey, he did suicide.
Right.
But the thing is that the trail went cold and went to a truck stop. So he could easily got in a car with a trucker and just drove off.
Right. So kind of along to your points, again, I'm no doctor, but I do believe that consuming as much ADHD drugs as he did really did affect his brain. There was this study that was done, and it was with a group of puppies. they deprived a group of puppies from food, and they deprived the other puppies from sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The puppies that were deprived from food were pretty malnourished, but after the experiment was done, I don't remember how many days, they all lived. They were all able to recover. But the puppies that didn't get any sleep, they all passed.
Wow.
So he was so wired that I'm sure he wasn't sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you said that he was just standing, or he was just in his truck, he didn't move for hours. He didn't have any like perception of time, place, and he kept forgetting, I think, where he was going.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like
He was also saying goodbye
to everybody. Well, not to his parents.
No, because he knew like some people were going to stop him.
And I wonder why, like, I see a lot of theories, and people always say, why the parents didn't get up and go get him?
Right.
Because he wasn't moving. So you have Kristen giving him gas at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 11 a.m., you get the notification that something happened.
Right.
And Kristen went back to him and said, hey, he was still here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the police came, he was like, a few miles past where Kristen was.
Yeah.
And my point was, as a parent, I'm like, okay, what's wrong with my kid? Like, I know my child. I have his ex-girlfriend saying, hey, he's not okay right now. He's not lucid. Something's going on with him. Mm-hmm. But it's like one thing I remember when I was saying the case, everybody said he was a charmer. In that moment, I feel like he charmed his parents. Like, oh, mom, like, I don't know what's going on with her. She just mad that I broke up with her. I'm okay, mom. Trust me. And I think the mom like, okay, you know what? She probably felt like Kim was like the crazy girlfriend.
But the thing about it is, she was concerned enough to call Kristen to check on her kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have kept him on the phone. If it's a 3-hour drive, I would have asked for an update. You know, hey, so where are you at now? Where are you at now? Kind of thing. Like every 30 minutes, where are you?
But he wasn't answering their phone call. Police officer had to give him his phone. Like, hey, call your parents.
I just don't believe there's any foul play, honestly. I think Bryce was really just going through a mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. I don't think he ran away.
Okay.
I don't think anybody got him. But I think he was so caught up in his mind that it created some kind of frustration. You did mention that the front window or the windshield was smashed in, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe because he couldn't figure out what was going on. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to say a little story, and I kind of hate to say it, but this is how I kind of relate to what he was going through. Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, I tried pot. Mm-hmm. And I kept having little episodes where I would like tune in and tune out. Mm-hmm. And I actually recorded myself to see how many times I kept like tuning in, tuning out. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing to do was make my bed. Mm-hmm. I could only focus on one corner at a time. Mm-hmm. And it was like I was trapped. Anything that I tried to do, I could only concentrate on a small part. Mm-hmm. And then I was so concentrated on that part that I could not escape it, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Like plugging in something, like I hated it. It gave me anxiety because I wanted to plug it in, but whenever I came to plug it in and I couldn't, and I wanted to leave, I just couldn't. So that's the thing. Like he was probably trapped in his own mind. Mm-hmm. And his frustration got to him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he ended his life, but the charred remains, how did they know that those weren't his?
I think they did dental records.
And then the skull
wasn't him.
Wasn't his either.
I personally feel like he had I don't want to diagnose him because I'm not, but I feel like he had a psychotic break. Because I feel like, because when we watched the show, and then because after we watched the Six Brothers show, we did look into it a lot. Yeah. And around that age, they say that that's when they get triggered the most. Mm-hmm. So, because they said also, you remember one part the girl said something tragic will happen to them that, make it even more stronger and like they have they break. So we don't know what tragic moment could have happened to him. We don't know. But to me, I feel like he was having that moment. And then with the drugs and then with the alcohol, it wasn't making it better. He probably was using the drugs and alcohol to like numb everything for him.
Yes. People with schizophrenia, I hear that they hear voices. So do you think maybe he was using Adderall to kind of quiet the voices? I know in the documentary we kind of watched something where a lot of them do get into recreational drugs because it helps them drown the voices. But it also has different effects on
Side
them
effects.
too. Right.
Because you shouldn't be taking ADHD medicine if you don't have ADHD. Because it can treat you in a different way that it treats the person who actually do have ADHD.
Correct.
So to me, I feel like it probably was a big side effect with him because he wasn't on the medicine that he needed to. And I feel like I'm not blaming the parents, but I feel like they didn't listen to the people that was around him.
Yeah.
I don't know what Sean said or Kim said in the phone call, but if two people, like in my head, if two people is really close to my child is saying, hey, something is going on. Like they took the time enough. Sean, out of his, I'm saying busy schedule, but Sean took the time. That was his best friend. That was his roommate. So Sean saw a lot. So Sean said, hey, something is not going on. Like something's going on with him right now.
And even Kim was like, look, he shouldn't be driving yet. I don't know how he managed to get the keys back in his hands.
The mom told Kim, hey, give his keys back. And she told her son, like, just go home and go to bed. But I don't know, for Kim to take the keys away, that like something must happen. Because she felt like he shouldn't be driving out. He needs to be with me right now. And her mom, I think, I don't know, he could have played in like, mom, like, I don't want to be my ex-girlfriend. I don't want, he could have played in that role,
I think the most safe thing would have been for him to stay there until somebody came to get him.
Because the mom's, she said, she like, hey, I'm going to come, I'm coming fly north, like coming up there to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, he talked her out of it. That's what I'm saying. He's very charming and he
persuasive.
Very to his parents. Because whatever somebody said, he was like, oh no. Like he kind of flipped it around a lot. Because I don't know the conversation, but it seemed like he did that a couple times.
Yeah.
Like Sean called, then Kim called, then Christian told her like, hey, he's still right here. And then he was still there given the police came. And then he even kind of charmed the police a little bit.
I just want to know how he disappeared, though, because if somebody is having a mental breakdown, I mean, where does their body go? They only have so much control. Like, they can't really, like, bury themselves or hide themselves.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was a suicide because they kind of found him by now.
Unless you said that he was by a lake. So if
they looked in the lake.
Right, but if there's, like, alligators or stuff like that, it could have gotten, yeah. And his body really would have disappeared.
But you also remember they followed his scent to the truck stop. That's where his scent went away. So to me, he got in a truck and drove. Like he probably said, "Hey, I need a ride." He probably hitchhiked. He probably said, "Like I gotta get." Probably to me, it seemed like he was really trying to get home, but he just kept forgetting. He would drive like, oh, then something like probably catch his eye or something like happened. He stopped. And they're like, hey, get home. Oh, okay. Go home. Like, they kept trying to remind him, like, get to this spot. Like, keep driving.
But the thing about it is, he was already saying goodbye before he even took that drive.
But he drove, like, when he left Kim's house, he's supposed to went home. But something in him told him, like, no, let's drive home. Let's drive to my parents' house. It was a reason why. I feel like, because he told him, like, hey, don't come out here until I talk to you tomorrow. So he probably was like, yeah, you know what? Let me get in this car and drive home. Let me talk to my parents. I think something was going on with him. And that's why I said, like, it was so many signs that the friends were seeing. And I don't know if they really told the parents because we don't know the phone conversation.
Yeah.
But it seemed like in the back of my head, I don't know if the mom like, hey, something's really going on with my son. But to me, I'm like, why she just didn't get in her car or tell the police, like, hey, can y'all just keep him at the police station?
Right.
And I'll come get him. Because he started this trip at 11:30 p.m.
There were so many signs, though. That is one thing I can say about this case is, you know, like the previous case, like the Millbrook twins. I'm like, oh, if only they would have told the cousin.
That's what I'm saying.
If only they would have told the sister. Because they only told their mom. Go check out that episode if you guys haven't. But there were so many signs with him. He, like Kim warned the mom. Sean had a feeling and told the mom as well. Christian was like, hey, he hasn't moved. Like, that's a red flag. And still, like, nobody came to help this man. Or
They did come help him.
well, they came to help him, but they didn't give him the help I feel like that he needed.
I feel like his charm really played because it seemed like he charmed the police. And sometimes it's really not hard to charm a police officer that's not really like.
But you can only charm your way out of so much.
But he was really charming it because.
But what I'm saying is there's so many red flags. I mean, unless you really just want to go in blind. But if somebody told me that about our daughter, hey, like, I'm worried about her. If her best friend called me, hey, I'm worried about her. If her ex told me, hey, I'm worried about her. And then she's still driving. Somehow she convinces me that she's okay to drive. And then I see that she hasn't moved in hours. Like, that's not normal.
Right. And I'm like, the mom kept saying, come home, drive home. To me, I'm like, Mom, get up and go get your child.
Exactly.
I'm not being mean to you. I'm not like trying to be hurtful because she probably do blame herself because like, dang, I should have did more. Right. But I'm saying she should have went and got him.
She should have.
Because from 9 a.m. to when the police saw him and then he called you at 2 a.m.
That's too long.
I
would have timed it. Like, how far was the drive? 3 hours?
3 hours.
You know, say he had a 2.5 hour drive left from when they had him. Like 2.5 hours. If you're not here, I would have like called the police again.
They probably know where he was, but it seemed like he wasn't going nowhere really. His drive, like he stayed in the same spot.
You said they found his truck.
They found his truck and a couple miles from last time. So it seemed like he wasn't going far. To me, I'm getting a car. I feel like I would pass him alone because how he driving, he's not getting anywhere.
He's not.
So it's like, let me drive that way. Probably take me through. He probably won't even pass me. I'm like, tell my husband, like, look at that side of the window while I'm driving.
Or I would have been like, look, Christian, can you take him back to your shop and I'll come back and get him? Because if he hasn't moved in hours, and
it seemed like Christian probably would have did it.
That's alarming.
Yeah.
And Christian was down. Like, he went to go check on this dude 2 times. That's what I'm saying. Like, there were so many people that knew about this problem, but nobody gave him the help that he needed.
One part, I'm sorry, I did forget that, like, the police officer, they did follow him for, like, a couple of miles. And they saw, okay, he was good. He driving off. And, like, okay, they called the parents again, like, hey, he's coming this way.
Oh, okay.
But still, though, because last time Christian left him, he drove a couple of miles and he was like...
He
drove it like... That's what I'm saying. He probably like, okay,
still
follow me. They still follow me. Okay, they go. Let me turn to the side. Because at 2 a.m., he called his mom. I was like, hey, I'm going to pull the road. Sir, how are you still not home? And I'm thinking about it. What did he eat? He must didn't eat nothing because he's on the side of the road. I don't think they found any candy paper, chip paper, anything in the car. So also, you remember, this man haven't ate anything. Did he go to the bathroom?
I don't know.
Because Christian saw him at 9 a.m. and at 11 a.m. he's still at the same spot. So,
I don't know. I just don't think anybody really got to him. I feel like he did something. He, like you said, he was having like an episode and he got lost, and that cost him, I believe it cost him his life.
2 things for me. I feel like therapy is important. I'm not promoting nobody therapy. We don't have them. If y'all want us to, let us know. But I'm in therapy. Not as much as I was in the beginning, because I was like going, once every week? People would ask me like, hey, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing wrong per se, but it's like I need somebody to talk to like help me out through my problems. And then you got to therapy. It was like, okay, like I'm seeing you get better than we did couple therapy. And then people like, y'all having problems. I feel like therapy is important and some people are scared to go to therapy. And I feel like in this moment, therapy should have, because it seemed like he was so depressed. Even his friends saw it. I wish he would and talk to somebody, or his friends could have encouraged him to talk to somebody, because it seemed like he needed somebody to talk to. And sometimes it is hard to talk to a friend or a loved one because you don't want to feel judged. But it seemed like they said he was depressed. They said he was depressed. He was very agitated and all of that. And it seemed like he needed a therapist in that moment to me.
Yeah, I believe therapy should be normalized, just like we have dermatologists, doctors for your skin, cardiologists, doctors for your heart. Like, we should have therapists for your mental health. It should be normalized. And just because somebody is going to therapy doesn't mean they're crazy.
Right.
It just means that they're healing. But I just believe that the stigma that people have with therapy is not what it should be.
Right. Also, I think he's just probably not run away. I feel like he's not in his right mind right now, because it can take a while. Without the proper medicine and therapy, he probably don't even know who he is right now.
Right.
So hopefully one day we get some answer for his case.
But yeah, I mean, I believe it was a mix of sleep deprivation, depression, drugs. It just all took a toll on his mental health.
Okay. I have a new podcast, guys. A new podcast. Yes, I'm shouting out all new podcasts that I like, and you should go please check out. This new podcast is called A Simpler Time True Crime.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about it a little bit.
The podcast is unsolved cases from the early 2000s and before. It challenges the notion of everything being simpler and safer back then. She covers cases that probably would have been solved if there was a Ring doorbell camera in the neighborhood, as an example, or could have been prevented in today's day and age, or ones that could now be solved from back then because of today's technology. She also tries to connect other interesting topics. For example, she has an upcoming episode covering people in DV situations and how it wasn't simpler back then because of even less resources.
So I did listen to a couple episodes, and I have to say my favorite, because I never heard this case, is called Jennifer Lean.
Okay.
And guys, check that one out because it's my favorite. A little girl actually was at home, and she was on the phone with her friends talking, but somebody was in the house with her.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to spoil it because you have to check out her podcast. I'll put the link below of my favorite episode that you guys should check out. But I don't know. I told her this. I'm like, you have that podcast voice. Like, you just have that podcast voice. I'm like, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. So please check out my new favorite podcast, A Simpler Time True Crime. We have actually started a Facebook group, and we have put like our episodes in there, and we want you guys to check it out because we want to hear your theories on it. So please, we'll have a link below. I want to hear your theories on the cases. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are signing out with Lesbian Detectives.